I'll let you talk about the show that you're on, but you were a regular cast member on a show for over 422 episodes.
Yes.
You said what? Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Inner West Hemp. Be sure to visit them online for all your CBD needs. This is the same company that I use daily, from tinctures to rub-ons to CBD gummies. Some of their products are even USADA approved. Be sure to use the code JAM for 15% off at checkout. What's up, guys? Today's guest is a professional actor and co-owner of JAM. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Philip Michael. What's up, man?
Hey, Trav, how are you, man?
Yo, welcome to the JAMCast.
Thanks, first time. Awesome place.
I know, right? This is your first time seeing the building in person also.
Crazy.
And this is kind of funny because I feel like some people know you as a fixture of JAM if they go to JAM all the time.
Yep.
Like they see you there 24/7. But for those that just watch us online, they probably have no idea.
No clue.
Who you are.
Exactly. I don't even talk about it.
I know, right? It's kind of an interesting thing. And even still, like, I feel like even the people that see you there 24/7 may not know the whole story about it.
No.
But long story short, Michael is like a true definition of like what hard work and like dedication to something can give you in a certain sense. Because I mean, how many times have I fired you?
Dude. Bro.
Just kidding.
It's funny. I even told my mom. My mom's like, that's not funny.
Yeah, it's so
It's
funny. I used to always joke with Michael, like, dude, Michael, I came in, there's a piece of paper on the ground, you're fired.
Dude, every time. Do you remember when I was in London and you sent me a video? I was with my mom, bro.
Something fell down, right? It was like a poster fell. Yeah.
Because my mom's like, she has a hardcore African accent. She's like, Michael, why is he calling you? What is going on? I'm like, Mom, nothing.
You're like, it's a joke. Oh, it's too funny, man. But so long story short, for those that don't know, Michael actually started just training at my first gym called White Lotus. Do you remember the year that it was? Was it 09?
2000, no, 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had been open in 09. You came in 2010. Mm-hmm. Started just training there first, and then very shortly thereafter applied to work at the front desk.
Yep.
From there, transitioned when we moved buildings over to JAM, working at JAM, and at which point we then, a few years in, decided to make you full-time manager to take care of everything operational-wise. And then, was it 2 years ago?
I think it's almost hitting 3 now,
Almost
right?
3 now, yeah, as of December, I guess, yeah. 3 years ago, we made the decision amongst myself and the other co-owners of JAM to give 10% of the company over to Michael for his dedication to JAM.
Yeah.
And so now he is a co-owner of JAM, which is pretty crazy.
It's pretty nuts how it all started.
It's pretty wild.
I just remember coming over to LA and, needing money after all like my residuals and stuff. Like, because I had a house back in London that I was still paying for.
Yeah. And
my mom lived there, my sister lived there, and I was like using my money to like to send back there and stuff.
Take care of them.
And so I think I emailed on Facebook or something, and I was like, your page, I think. I was like, is Anise like teaching in the class? Because I used to watch him like on YouTube all the time. And then you hit me up and said, yeah, he teaches my spot.
Yeah.
So then I came over, and then after I was looking for a job, I think you then hit me up and said, because your mom found out that she was looking for someone, found out I was a Christian, so she wanted to check my integrity.
Totally.
And that's how I got involved.
100%. It literally came down to like, she was like, I think this guy's super trustworthy.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right, I'm down. Because back then, for those that don't know, before JAM opened, White Lotus is actually a martial arts school that my family owned and operated for like 30 years in the San Fernando Valley. So when I moved back from college, I decided like, hey, I'm tired of Gymnastics Olympica not letting us have floor time. And so we basically opened White Lotus, which was an extension of their previous gym. So at the time, we had a spring floor, but then we had the training floor for my mom and them to run Kung Fu classes, but it was still under their umbrella.
Yeah.
So my mom had like a big say in things back then, It was like basically me and mama that invested in the original one ran it. So
I remember even managing the money and stuff. Like it was like $5 to get in, and you write person's name, then you tick it off. I remember,
no electronic stuff.
Bro, your mom used to scare me because one time, like, she came the next morning, she was like, we're $5 like short. And I'm like, no, like, no, I didn't take it. I didn't lose it. I charge everyone. Like, I always charge everyone. And it was your mom used to scare me. I used to feel like she never smiled. She never liked me. People come in and she's like, oh, hey. And then I come in, she's like a straight face, just, hey. And I'm like, wow, why am I working here again? No. She was the best.
Imagine how it is being your son.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, man. But yeah, man, you were there since the very beginning, back when like literally White Lotus, like we said, was $5 open gym.
Yeah.
We used to sell our own drinks and stuff behind the counter.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Like you said, you hit us up about Anise teaching classes because this was so long ago that he wasn't even working yet. Him and Danny Graham were so free that they were teaching tricking classes at White Lotus, which is unheard of. We couldn't even book them for a workshop right now, let alone a class.
It was funny. You used to do all the parkour workshops, just be packed. Have the classes were full. When King David was there was that random scaffolding that everyone used to use and change it up. And then when you get like new stuff in, and everyone in the community would just come in and help out. Like there weren't like people who just, oh, this is just a gym. Everyone knew each other. Everyone came to help out. And that was different for me because I never grew up in a gym like that where everyone in the community wanted to get involved and not ask for money or try and book themselves in. They just came.
Different than corporate gyms.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. Like you said, the parkour workshops were huge back then because for those that don't know, we were open before Tempest.
That's right.
So like this was like a pre-Tempest time. So we were legitimately one of the few gyms in the world that had parkour classes, tricking classes, cinematic classes, and open gym for stunt people. Yeah. Not to like, I could be wrong. There could be a gym out there before, but we were literally one of the first in the world. And then definitely in LA, we were the first to get parkour bars. Like before Tempest opened, we had a scaffold section, and then we also had Lachey bars that we put in. And I remember when we put that in, it took off because no one had ever seen anything like that.
That's
in LA.
right. Yeah. Remember the first time you set it up? It's a devil drop bar.
Yes.
And Solomon was like going crazy, and he was like, "Whoa!" And everyone just went nuts. And it's just a bar on a wall.
Yeah, it's just that's how crazy it was for everyone's perspective. Like there was no parkour gym, so literally just putting a bar on the wall to hang off of was like revolutionary. Yeah, it was so crazy.
And it was like a full-on concrete, strong, powerful wall. Like if you hit your head in that, you're out.
Oh, you're roasted. Dude, I saw so many kids hit their head against the wall like back in the days, or like even myself. Like you miss and you fall into it, you're roasted.
Do you remember like even when we used to like train wall flips, people would choose like which side of the wall was drier so you don't slip off?
100%. Then we even put grip tape up.
Yeah.
Eventually because of that.
Yeah.
Man, it was crazy, man. I know that I'm not the only one that has this sentiment. I hear it all the time. Even like up to 2020, people say that they miss White Lotus. You just couldn't replicate the energy in that place at the time, man. Yeah. It's unrivaled even to this day. So much so that, I mean, you may not even know this, but a few years ago, I even looked into re-getting that building privately.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Did not know.
Wow. I did. I was like, man, there's something about that place. We had a big roll-up door so the sun would be coming through. We used to play the music so loud, like we couldn't talk this close to each other. Yeah. Like it would be impossible to hear each other. And
it was like pitch black outside by the time you were done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. Like soon as, and even when it's raining, it was nuts. You know, people still want to like, oh, keep the door up.
Keep the door open.
You can't keep it open. Keep it half open. Oh,
or like the rain's coming in, and then we put a little mesh fence up eventually.
Yeah. And what's great is that people couldn't sneak in. Like we'd be able to like just check. Even if they snuck in, they came to the front. Said, hey, I just came around the back. Really respectful. Of course, you know, you get like the random 2 people, but still, it's like, oh, you come and pay. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. It was a different time. And what's so crazy for me to see is all of the kids from back in the day that trained there. Like for example, Corbin Reinhardt was a little kid who came and was like learning to do backflips and stuff. He's now a pro athlete on Tempest free running.
Incredible.
Like, what? Yeah. How crazy is that, you know?
It's funny, even all the Tempest guys came to train at your gym beforehand.
Yeah, because like I said, before Tempest opened, we were the only parkour gym that really offered classes. So like everyone wanted a job teaching parkour. So like we had guys like David Elson, who was on Tempest, you know? And so like, it was crazy. We had guys like him teaching classes. It was awesome. It's crazy to see 10 years later.
Wow, bro.
Insane, dude. Insane. But even before you moved out here to LA, you kind of touched base on it that you had a house back in London and stuff. And that's where you're originally from, right?
That's right.
Which part of London or which part of England or the UK are you from?
So more, if it's fixed in more one area, it's like Southeast London.
Okay.
So I was from all over, but mainly Southeast. But the thing with London is like you go around a lot, because especially for like work, school, like my drama school was in like East London. So you'd be all over the shop. The place we didn't go as much was North London. Okay. Even though in the spectrum of like LA, it's way smaller. Yeah. It still took so long to get there. Like you'd be on a train, maybe 2 hours, like changes going up and down. Oh, wow. But the public transport is like so comfortable that it's like, you know, you read, everything's relaxed. It's just there's so many people. If you miss a train, got to get the next one. And so we never really used to commute so much further up north unless you had to. But so if you're from the Southeast, you're from the Southeast.
Yeah. You just kind of stay in that pocket. Yeah. I have a question for you that's kind of off topic, but just a question. Do you ever refer to it as England, or you only refer to it as the UK?
Both.
Okay.
So it depends. Like England specifically, you have the country England.
Yeah.
Now, if you say in UK, you're talking about, let's say, Wales and Scotland as well.
Yes.
That stuff. So the United Kingdom is bringing everyone together. So if I say, usually I'm like, oh, I'm from the UK. But if they ask you like where, either say London or England.
Okay.
Because Welsh sounds very different. Scottish,
totally.
Very different.
Yeah.
Irish, very different as well.
The only reason I ask that is like, it's one thing that's always stuck out in my brain for all time. And it's such a weird, like, you know how the certain moments in your life you'll always remember just for like a random moment. I'll remember I was hosting Red Bull Art of Motion in London.
Yeah.
The biggest one I've ever done to date. 15,000 people at the National Theater.
Yeah.
The craziest crowd of all time. And I remember during my warm-ups, I kept saying like, blah, blah, blah. Like I was just going through my lines like, welcome, blah, 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 to the biggest event here and right here in London, England. And they kept going on my mic in my ear and they're like, stop saying England. You're not allowed to say England.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, what do you mean? They're like, we don't call it England. We call it the UK. I'm like, really? I'm like, holy
That's
crap.
funny.
And for some reason that's always stuck in my mind. So I just wanted to ask someone that's from there what you call it. Yeah, because they legitimately, the Red Bull people shut me down from saying it.
If it's because of that, it's likely because they have trying to unify everyone.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of Welsh, there's a lot of Scottish, and everyone's like so mixed. So when you just say England, it goes back to like if you see like the World Cup, there's that. You would say England.
Yes.
You're not gonna say.
You would
UK.
say England, right? Yeah,
You would say England. But in something where you're bringing the whole community together, you don't so much say England because it isolates. And there's so many
Got you.
English that obviously people from the UK who feel that they're not English. And so, but they live in England.
Yes.
And there are other people who feel they're English. But when you say English, some people, they think, well, you're upper class and you are probably quite rich. You speak in a certain manner, like Queen's language.
Yeah.
But if you're Welsh, you don't really associate with that. So you don't call yourself English because you'd be thinking like in theater, Oscar Wilde, that kind of stuff. And so it isolates a lot. So
100.
that kind of sense, when someone says, oh, I'm from England, automatically you could be like, wait, what are you trying to say?
Ah.
You know, like if someone says, I'm Irish, they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Irish.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I just had to ask that just randomly because for some reason I'll never forget that. It's like one of the few times where they told me I couldn't say something.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually pretty good about stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, stop it. I'm like, what? What am I doing wrong? That's what I've been told my whole life.
It's funny because sometimes you could say British
Yes.
more than English.
Yes.
So if you say English, it can be a bit facetious for some people. So if you say British, it's a different kind of heritage.
They definitely don't call it Great Britain anymore. That's for sure.
That's right.
That's gone. Okay.
Well,
cool.
we still do, you know.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, dude. And when they told me to stop it, I was like, dude, I swear I've only said this because like my friends are from here.
Yeah.
Like for those that don't know, like I've mentioned it before on the JAMCast, and you'll know this. Like some of my best friends in the planet, funny enough, are from the UK.
Yeah.
Like Ben Jenks from Blackburn. You know, like it's so funny. Sam Parham is from over there.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying. Like James Young is from over there. It's like
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, I don't think I'm offending people, you know? So yeah, I'll just never forget it.
It's funny, like so now they don't say as much, Great Britain, but the pound sign still sometimes uses GBR.
Yes, I know.
But you don't say Great Britain, you say pounds. And you just have to know.
That's crazy, man. And so like when you were over there growing up as a kid, what things did you get involved in? Were you already focusing on kickboxing and boxing as a kid, or was that something that you progressed more into as an adolescent?
So I started like late. I started like martial arts and stuff when I was like 15.
Okay.
But I actually grew up more in Nigeria. And then when I was 7, my parents were Nigerian heritage. So when I was 7, I went to boarding school in London for like 2 years.
Okay.
Went back to Nigeria, and then that's when we finally came back all the way to like the UK.
That makes sense.
I wasn't really allowed to do any form of martial arts just because of like the meditation side, that kind of stuff. As being a Christian, if you don't really know what life is really about and you start opening yourself spiritually to other stuff, you can get a lot of complications, and that's what we believe. So until I was sound, really knowing why I do something, to be able to say no to a certain method, because it wasn't just about the meditation, it was about the mindset.
Yeah, totally. Combative stuff.
I began to see that more when I did taekwondo. Some of the coaches, they were just mean in the sense they really wanted to attack people.
Yeah.
And that energy, I was like, no, I'm sorry, that's not my nature. I'm good, but I don't want that kind of mindset. So from 15 to like 17, I started with karate.
Okay.
And then I met a good friend of mine called Jamie, and we went to a martial art called Shenchido. that kind of took over because I preferred the instructor from that side, which is closer a little bit to like kickboxing as well.
Okay.
Then the coach started doing kickboxing, and that's when I went to my first kickboxing class. What happened, I had like a life awakening moment from there. During one of the sparring matches, in karate, you block, you do whatever, and you think someone's gonna stick their hand out, punch, and leave it there. So this guy comes in, he throws a jab, but he goes, bah, whop. And so I go here, and I miss the first one. Second one comes through, hits me so hard, but he doesn't stop. And I'm like, what is this? What is this thing? Combos. And they said, you're a man now. You're 16. You got to now fight like a 16-year-old. You got to be in the adult section now. Wow. So that's when I started like getting involved in kickboxing.
Okay.
So then I work in kickboxing and taekwondo at the same time, in amateur boxing, kind of like different time slots. But that's when I started winning every single competition. I used to fight every 2 weeks to stay off the streets.
Wow.
And didn't get any money for it except for like the world championships in Spain or wherever I went to.
Okay.
So you get maybe a couple of thousand, but then they take money out for expenses, that kind of
Is
nonsense.
it still amateur at this point? Or do they consider it pro because you make a little bit of money? Okay.
So the amateur was a lot of competitions I did every 2 weeks.
Okay.
The full contact kickboxing was pro.
Okay.
So in Ireland, in Spain, in London, different places. So I did taekwondo competitions every probably 2 months, and open competitions every 2 weeks, and pro fights every 3 months.
Dang.
So I was accumulating like gold medals and silver medals, bronze, winning everything. So I had like over 70 titles. In terms of professional, I had the belt. I got the World Cup and the Irish belt, which I had to relinquish because I couldn't fight twice more to retain and keep it. You have to like fight 3 times to keep that belt.
Okay. But
I was considered the world kickboxing champion in Ireland for that as well.
Dope.
And then I just did so many that I wasn't even keeping track anymore.
Yeah.
I kind of like stopped when I won the world championships for taekwondo. And then that was during when I was filming Mamma Mia.
Oh, no
It was
way.
funny. I wasn't allowed to do it. So I was like, let me just show up. Because my coach called me 2 days before and said, hey, world championships coming up. I know you ain't been training, but we need you.
No way.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay. I went there. I learned the forms on the day because I didn't remember any of the forms. And then they were like, hey, be careful of the Russians. They've got really good hands because I know you got good hands too. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That'll be a good fight. Sure.
Yeah.
So I won the forms division and then went into the sparring, which I fought, I believe, 11 opponents that day.
Okay.
And I think I got the Russians in the second to last fight. It was the easiest fight in the world.
Really?
Yeah. Because I've been doing amateur boxing in that time.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times they'd just throw with their power, and you're taught in like amateur boxing to time, step off,
slip, step off. Yeah.
Just without jumping around too much, you just kind of time it. But because of kicking patterns as well, you would time, step off, kick, move in, step back, jump kick, things like that.
Yes.
And that was different from them where they're like hands, legs, hands. But I used to mix it up. So they didn't know what was coming.
Crazy.
And
yeah, that makes sense, especially because Taekwondo, the focus is on the legs for the majority of them.
Yeah. And it was really important for me why I won, because there was a team UK competitions to enter the team to fight in the world championships, and they disqualified me because of my coach. They didn't like my coach, so I was beating all the guys. So they didn't count 1 point, and I was so mad that I was like, "How are you gonna penalize me? I'm one of the best. Not being arrogant, but I'm one of the best in this country." Just because of my mindset and what I've been through in life, that I'm not afraid. Like if someone throws a fake, you're just trying to scare me, so I'm coming in.
Yeah.
So I had a whole different mindset when I used to compete. But the fact that I couldn't enter really bummed me down. So like I think the year after was when the individual competitions came through. And those champions that obviously won the team were there as well. And by me winning that was the biggest, I think, moment for me. And that's when I realized I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I've achieved everything. I've been fighting every 2 weeks for like 10 years, and I'm over it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we all kind of hit that point. It's funny that you talked about the like martial arts politics. I mean, me, Connor, and I know about this. It exists in America. It exists everywhere around the world. These martial arts competitions are shady, man.
Yeah.
It's an interesting circle, I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah. So we totally understand that.
Yeah.
That's wild, man. And then at what point do you start focusing on acting? Because obviously, like you mentioned it, that you went and competed at the World Championships while you were filming a huge movie at the time.
Yeah.
And before we jump into that movie specifically, at what point did you start getting intrigued into acting? Because I know you went to a school out in London that's a very famous school. So
I knew I wanted to be an actor when I was 9 years old, after I came back from boarding school in Nigeria. one, watching Jackie Chan was why I wanted to do martial arts and parkour and that kind of stuff, even though it wasn't called parkour, obviously, back then. But I wanted to do like action movies. And then I saw Harrison Ford in a film called Witness.
Okay.
It's the way he connected with the child on the film and how he made me feel safe. Because in Nigeria, there's a lot of political stuff, and, you know, me being in a car and then, you know, the Nigerian police coming out with machine guns and just trying to hold you down. So we used to, like, that was our life a lot of times as well. And so when I was watching that, the way he related with a kid who was about to get killed, I could really relate to that. And by knowing this was a film, I just knew I want to be an actor. But I wasn't allowed to be because, you know, being in a Nigerian family, you want to be like a doctor or a scientist, that kind of stuff. So I waited until I was about 15, then I did drama in school.
Okay.
Then when I was 17, then it was like, Mom, I want to be an actor. I want to go for drama school. So after college, that's when I auditioned for multiple drama schools. Okay. And that's when I actually was able to start the career. So I started late. Okay. I just started when I was 21. And so from that age is when I got into drama school, 3 years, and then began from that point.
No way. And I don't want to mispronounce it. What is the school that you attended in London that's a well-known school?
Italia Conti.
Yes.
Yeah, there's 2 departments. There's one, which is musical theater. Not that department. It's the acting department, which is very different from the musical theater school.
Okay. It's a pretty well-renowned school, though. Like, there's so many people that have gone through the ranks of it, like back in the days. Is there only one location in London, or is there multiple ones?
One location.
Okay. Yeah. So it is the same one then, yeah. Because, I mean, there's guys like Russell Brand went through the school. Yeah. I think Naomi Campbell.
Yeah. See, sorry. One brand, the 2 different departments in 2 different areas. They went to the musical theater department.
Okay.
Yeah, and
but still the same school, though.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
School.
That makes sense, though. That's wild, man. Super wild to think about. I saw a bunch of names on that list of people that like went to that school that you would recognize even today. Yeah. So yeah, super crazy. Yeah. And so at that point, your first major breakout role, would you consider Mamma Mia, or would you consider your show in Ireland?
It was a show in Ireland.
And here's what's funny. A lot of people may not know that you were a co-owner of Jam, but I feel like what I'm about to say right now is going to shock even more people. I know Connor probably doesn't know this. I'll let you talk about the show that you're on, but you were a regular cast member on a show for over 422 episodes.
Yes.
Connor said what? 422 episodes of a TV show, which was known as?
Fair City.
Fair City. Yeah. And that shot in Ireland.
Yep.
Okay. And what was the story behind that show, and how did you get that role?
So this one was a funny story, because I'm going to start a little bit earlier. So when I was in drama school, we had our showcase. And I wanted to do an Irish play. And one of my teachers was like, well, there's no black Irish people, so you can't do an Irish play. I was like, well, okay then. And a good friend of mine was a boxer. He was Irish, and he was mixed race. Okay. In London, you just call them black. So if you're mixed race, somehow we take ownership and just, you're black.
That's funny, yeah.
And so to me, I was like, well, I have a friend who's Irish, and he's mixed race. They were like, there's no black people in Ireland. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. So then when I graduated and had an agent, my first film audition was Children of Men. Okay. I was offered it. Contract did not come because they did a rewrite where they took all the younger characters out, the gangs that was supposed to be out. So I was like, oh, okay. So I booked it and didn't book it. Yep. Cool. 2 weeks later, my agent sent me the notice for Fair City, and said, hey, they're looking to cast someone ASAP. We need you to make a tape and send over the casting like immediately. So I went to the studio and like re-recorded the scene. They had already cast the role. So I sent off the video, and then 3 days later, they were like, we want you to play the character of Joshua, and we need you to fly here in 2 days. And I was like, wow. So I had to leave everything. And it was a 3-month contract initially. I was like, okay. And so I flew out to there, and then what was like 3 months became 4.5 years.
Wow. Yeah. 4.5 years. And were you guys filming every week?
So yeah, you get times off. So you might do, let's say, 21 weeks or 7 weeks, and then hiatus. But they film all year round. And so it's 4 episodes a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You shoot 5 days. The first 3 days is in the studio. The Thursday and Friday is external locations. Saturday would be the following week rehearsal because you get the script in advance. Sunday you'd have the day off, and then you start again on Monday.
Crazy.
You can start it obviously, as early as 5 a.m. all the way till nighttime. But they did it so well that they get all your scenes in the right kind of time slot.
Yeah, when you're an actor, it's different. When you're a stunt person, you're there all day. When you're an actor, it's totally different, man. That's so crazy, man. So literally, just a single job turned into 4.5 years of shooting, which is crazy. And what was how do you pronounce the last name of your character?
Udenze.
Okay, cool. Didn't want to butcher that. I know when to pick and choose my battles. Dog. That's crazy, man. And I know that one of the big things about it was like, even though you touched upon it even before about they're not really recognizing, people being of Black descent in Ireland, I know that your character really touched on a lot of different topics that like spurned a lot of debate. Yeah. Like Connor, I think if you even pull up like the second Fair City post on there, there was stuff like back in the newspapers about like the controversial scenes.
How'd you
and
get
things
this?
Like that. We deep dive. Click the next one, Connor. It's a news article, not the clip. Do the press one. But yeah, at that time, you guys were touching on a lot of hot topics, right? They were literally causing people to be concerned about it and stuff like that, right?
What's funny, there's a night when I actually got there, the perception of my coach said that, there's no Black people in Ireland was nonsense. Because as soon as I get there, there's like a major Nigerian population in a very specific area, but there's a lot of African Americans in that place.
Okay. And so like this is one that we're looking at right now, which is you kissing a Caucasian girl. Yeah. And it sparked a huge controversy, right? The headline even says what? Neo-Nazis spark hate-filled email campaign over... That's wild. So
one of the storylines is that there's a couple of, straight up, they're like Nazis. Yeah. And so they just didn't like me. They said, go back to your country and that stuff. There was a scene where... they put a knife to my throat and urinate on me. Wow. And this was like a Romeo and Juliet kind of like a whole theme going on, but they touched based on a lot of stuff. Usually characters have like one kind of theme running through until it runs
you serve one purpose.
Yeah. We had multiple. I had it, obviously, the Romeo and Juliet, the racism happening, single parent with my dad, and then suddenly my dad's marrying a much younger lady closer to my age. Yes. So there's that feud going on there and stuff. And then she brings her daughter in the show and stuff, and it was just a lot for the characters, so many things happening. And then breaking out the cycle of where they'll think a Black male has to cheat. Mm-hmm, so they didn't want to go down that route. Wow. They almost did. But it's because, the relationship was a bit off with the character Louisa that I was with. But still, they said, no, we really want to honor a nice gentleman, someone who doesn't get into that same ideology pattern. And so we didn't go down that route, which was great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, kind of like stay away from stereotypes or like don't like continue to progress them, I guess.
Yeah, it was so huge that even the Nigerian community in the papers, they said that my character was like a young Martin Luther King.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah, but I mean, I guess when you look at it from the grand scheme of things in a country that is predominantly one race and one culture, it is. You probably are going to find some people that have some dissent with what they see that they're not used to, So yeah, that's super interesting, man. And just in general, like now that you've been on American side productions and stuff like that, comparatively, what's the difference from over there? Was it like the same scale of stuff? I mean, for a show to be on for 420 episodes, it's pretty massive. Like it's pretty major. Do you see any differences between the two, or is it all pretty much similar?
There's a lot of similarities and a lot of differences. Okay. Because what comes into play is also that when you're in America, there's a big sense that I'm American. And that's shown a lot of stuff, a lot of things, a lot of productions, how people do things. There's this, you get the sense of where people have come from. Yes. And being an American, then you have like immigrants who come here who do the same thing. They feel that energy, but there seems to be more of a push. Okay. And in the UK, the push is subtle. Like you don't really notice it. It's hidden. Okay. But that's the thing with they say a lot of British. They subdue everything, so it's hidden. Yeah. How they feel, and that's why, a lot of theater is very articulate and very intellectual. Okay. Because when they say something, they really mean something else, but then you're not gonna see it. Unlike here, it seems like there's a lot more emotional push
Okay.
And I could feel that even coming here, that one director went to me and said, if you're not, for example, if you're not in California, no one knows you. Like even if you're a famous actor and you're somewhere else, if you're not in California, they don't know you. You have to be in California for them to like really care. And so I had to do like a lot of meetings, which has never been done before. I've never done that before. And so I had to go to meetings, general meetings, events, talk to all these casting directors and directors. And they're like, oh, I never knew you were here. I was like, oh, I've been here for like 6 months, almost a year.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, your agent never told me. I'm like, I'm still trying to find the right agent here, that stuff. And for me, what was peculiar is that when speaking to the directors, you then begin to find out that the visa I was on is absolutely useless. That used to stop the conversation going forward.
Totally.
That was a deal breaker, because they said, well, the shows we want you on may run for like 6, 7, 8 years. If your visa is 3 years, and if you've already had like 2 years on it, we can't have you.
Okay.
Movies that were like even shooting for like 6 months, they'd be like, oh, you don't realize that we have to apply for a visa on top of your visa.
Wow.
And I was like, but I have a visa. Yeah, I know you have one, but we have to. And it became this major problem. So the only way possible is that you have to have a green card. And that's a whole different story.
Yeah, totally.
They didn't even know. They just thought you just apply and get it. No, that's not the case. And so you would find like back home in London, when you have these opportunities to work, there were much less, but it seemed also that there was an easier access.
Yeah.
But the quality of work and the opportunity is far greater over here.
Okay.
Stuff you can do, the storylines you could do are way major.
Totally.
So I was in this very grayscale area.
And so what made you make the decision to move to America?
It's what I always wanted since I was a kid. Like everything you watch is kind of like American TV shows and films. And so this just a sense of America.
Okay.
You know, it's that story like, yeah, I want to go to America. We get on the boat and just get to that country and to that land. And that's what it felt like. The weather, everything, there's just something like a calling to come here, and I just had to do it. And it's funny, in drama school, they're like, there's no point in you going if you have no visa, you can't. No point. And it was always my dream, like if someone says no to me, and I know in my heart, no matter how long it takes, if that's what's the calling within, I just have to go and find out.
Crazy. And how shortly after your show ended was it that you moved to America? And like, what was it like being on a show for 422 episodes and then it just stopping? Did your character die off? Did the show end, or what was the reason for the ending of your character?
My character's still very much alive.
Oh wow!
He just moved back to London, and that's because I booked Mamma Mia. And so
perfect question. Yeah. I killed it. Yes. Awesome.
So because I booked that's when that halted. And even now my character he's still somewhere. And I'm still in talks. We're in talks with the studio right now as a re-invite.
So the show is still running?
The show is still running. Oh, yeah.
Wow. How long has that show been on the air for?
Oh, maybe 19
years?
50s it started or something.
No, 50s? Holy
no, maybe later.
crap.
I'm sorry. No, it's got to be 70s.
And it's just a huge like soap opera. This is on weekly. Holy crap.
It's a soap opera. Yeah.
How many days a week is it on TV?
It's on new episodes 4 days a week.
New episodes 4 days a week. Holy crap.
On sorry, is it 4 or 5? No, it's 5 episodes they have. Because on the 5th one is an omnibus. They show everything in the week.
Okay.
So then they do that on a Sunday and just throw everything coming in.
That's crazy. That's crazy to hear shows like that existing. You know, like I just finished a show right now. There was 1 season, and we're hoping we get a second season. Yeah. we did 18 episodes. You know,
and the storylines sometimes are not great.
Yeah,
but it's their show.
Everyone's bought into it.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Oh, I hate the show. What are you watching, Fair City? Where are you going to watch Fair City?"
It's just a fixture in everyone's lives.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And so you kind of touched on it briefly here, and it's something that I definitely wanted to segue into, and I didn't know it would happen that smoothly, but it's like the next major role that you're definitely known for is a musical movie that a lot of people heard of, which is Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
And how did you book that role?
So sometimes you get like breakdowns. Back then you get like breakdowns on like a newspaper, and then I saw Mamma Mia there, and I was like, oh, cool, that seems interesting. Don't want to do it. It's a musical. My agent calls, hey, I want to audition you for a film. And I was like, oh, what film is it? Mamma Mia. It's a musical. And I'm like, and I was like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah.
So she was like, but Meryl Streep's in it.
Yep.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, convinced me. All right. So went to the audition with Priscilla John, who's the casting director, and I had like my afro out, something, and a bandana on. She was like, "Oh, take off the bandana." She was like, "Oh, it's nice. You look different with the bandana on." I was like, "Yeah, it's my go-to and stuff." Got a call back, and I came back in braided hair. She was like, "Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. That's great." So we did the second audition, and from there, I got called into the third audition.
Wow.
So my agent calls, says, "Hey, guess what?" I'm like, "Did I book it?" "No, they want to see you again." I'm like, "Oh no."
That's the worst.
Yeah.
I hate that.
This third audition was 3 on the same day.
3 auditions.
Yep. So you had in the morning, we had the dance audition. So you have all
'cause it's
the
a
big
musical.
West End stars coming in, like the big top end dancers coming through.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't do any of this style. I don't know. So we did that. I passed that, and then we go into the next audition, which was the acting. So like they choose like everyone who's like from the first round,
Totally.
join in. So we had the acting point, and then we had to put the dancing together. It's like, oh, okay. Went through that, and then we got to the last 3 of us, and then now's the singing audition for this character. So we did that with the musical director that for the film. So we did that audition. All went home. Next day, get the call. They want to audition you again.
No way.
I'm like,
A 4th one.
yeah. So we went to another audition where they had more of those people, brought them all back again, and I'm like, what is this? So it's like different groups from the other after the recall. Did the exact same thing as the day I just did. 3 in that same day, and then went home. Get a call. My agent's like, they want to see you again. This time, this is myself, the director, executive director, to like just have an interview.
Yeah, that's more usual for like a 3rd round call. Or yeah.
So when we did the audition, I can't remember exactly what it was like. Just very relaxed, very chilled. I'm not someone who goes and says, "Yeah, I can do this, I can do that." Like I was just relating, talking, answering the questions, and then she was like, If I said to you that I would like you to make things up and I just leave you by yourself to just go and do that, would you be able to do that?" I was like, yeah, that's what I do when I teach kickboxing classes, or I have to do any form of stuff now for work. I just left to do what I need to do, and I make things up. So she was like, okay. I went back to Dublin for my show, Fair City.
Yeah, back to your show that you're on.
I was about to finish off, and I'm on the bus. Agent calls and says, guess what? I'm like, please don't tell me I have to come back.
Yeah.
She's like, you just booked it. I yelled so much in that bus.
Wow.
Then I called my mom. My mom's like, you booked it, did you not?
Yes.
I'm like, yes, mommy, I did.
No
and
way.
And that's when it was just crazy, because it's intense. Every time the phone rings and I'm like, oh, let this be over. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you see all these big stars, and you're like huge actors and huge stars, and you're like, how can I
book this role?
Yeah. It's crazy.
That is crazy, man. And so how long were you on the film for officially?
It was, what was it long? I think it was like 17 weeks.
Wow.
I think it was 17 weeks, and they cut it shorter as well. So that was after 17 weeks after they cut it short, because they kept cutting the budget.
Yes.
Because it was like a musical. They said, we don't know if this is going to do good.
Totally.
And so they kept cutting the budget. So they were like making, it would have been like a 3-hour musical.
Oh, wow.
So they
okay.
cut.
Yeah.
They said, we have to get it down to 90 minutes. So I'm rehearsing for like 11 weeks. And then this 11 weeks, I'm learning all the dance routine. The dance captain, he's like, the choreographer is like, Philip, I can't show you anything because you're the actor. So only the director can tell you what to do, but you have to learn everything just in case. So I had to learn all the routines, everything there. And they said, you may not do any of it.
Yep.
And obviously, the big number, Does Your Mother Know, comes on.
I was just going to ask you about that. You'll kind of pull up the Mamma Mia one really quick, and like, hopefully we don't get kicked off YouTube, so I won't put this up there for that long. We'll just play it for a second. Click the second one, which is, and so this is a screenshot from the actual scene, which is the famous scene, which is Does Your Mother Know, which is a scene that takes place on the beach, right? For the majority of the part of it. Yeah, here it is.
4 days on the beach.
So funny, man. And so like, this is a really huge part for you, because it's basically just you featured in her for the majority of this entire scene. Yeah. Which is so funny, man. Very crazy to look back on, right?
It's incredible. I I think maybe some people know by now, but this is all virtually 90% improv.
Really?
So even when I think I'm about to jump over the bar.
Yep.
And
after the
they'll
fake
just say,
kiss.
"Hey, Philip, we need you to get to the other side." And so I walk around. They're like, "Oh, it's taking too long." I was like, "I'll jump over." Like, "Oh yeah, cool." And then we went to the dance step, and all this is kind of like improvised. They just said, "Follow Christine, whatever she does, just respond, just let it happen." Of course, there are major moments like this, which is
Of course, with a set it for a single.
Yeah. But in terms of like dancing, moving around, that kind of stuff, they just said, "We want you from A to B. Find a way to get there."
Cool. That's
Intense.
crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy, man. That's super crazy. And for someone that didn't want to do a musical, it's like a pretty funny movie to be associated with. I mean, Mamma Mia is a stage show. I mean, like, like at this point, there's been so many reiterations of it. It's crazy.
And people forget there is a soundtrack.
Yeah.
And there's more songs that I sing on the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is insane, man. That is so crazy to think about. Is that, of all the projects that you've done over your course of your lifetime, which one are you most proud of? Or is there one that stands out the most?
Sorry, that's a question again.
I said of all the projects that you've done, is that the one that stands out the most?
Honestly, this one and Fair City together. I've done a lot of other stuff in different countries and stuff. I haven't like really listed them. Sometimes I forget the jobs I've done until someone like sends me videos or pictures and says, "Hey, well, I found you on this thing in like Poland." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I did that."
Yeah.
But I kind of just let them go because of this thing where you always look in the past and it kind of pulls you backwards. And so, but these two were just the most prominent and my proudest moments. And the ones that really, to me, it was virtually saying that, if this can happen right now, then you can have a incredible destiny. And no matter what happens afterwards, it doesn't matter. You can always accomplish your biggest dream, which is like where I was at when I came here. Everything stopped.
Yeah.
No one knew who I was. I had these two major movies, but no one knew I was in the country. And then there's a whole visa problem, that kind of stuff. I was kind of like getting really low with myself, and then going to Hollywood and watching people's attitudes and people push for these, going to auditions, and people like, "Oh, I'm this person, I'm this." I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like, you don't have to announce who you are and stuff.
Yeah.
That I decided to take, I think, 3.5 years off and just work with my church, praying for the sick and that stuff. Finding out about people who are going through like real problems.
Yes.
Not just not booking a gig.
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose myself. And what stuck with me when I was in drama school is that they thought I was going to play Othello in one of the plays. Okay. And they said, the coordinator of the theater said, "I didn't want you to play Othello. One, he's much older and he's gone through a lot of stuff in life. You have not. You can't fake it. You have to go through stuff to really know how to play this." And when he says his line, when he kills Desdemona in the end, you have to go to that dark place.
Yeah.
Which means people have been making you super talented. You have this star quality, and I don't want that to get you in your head. So they gave me the servant role, like Grumio and then all that stuff. And they said, "We need you to dig deep to the lowest part of yourself so you feel super low and bring honor to the characters who no one speaks about."
Okay.
Because he says, "Well, I know you can, and that's going to make you much stronger. So when you become an Othello, you're really a servant fighting his way to become someone. You're a slave becoming somewhere." And so when I took this time off and found out more about life, I grew as a person. My mindset changed. And then I became much more mature in my auditions. I didn't really care about trying to show off or do this and show I'm really good. I'm like, if you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. And as I was ready to come back, that's when the green card issues started happening.
Of course.
I had to take just over 4 years off, nothing. Because the whole process, when Homeland Security took over, they said what could take 1.5 years is now taking about 3 years, maybe longer. If you expedite it, more complications.
Yeah, of course.
I had 2 green card processes going through. One was connected to my visa, but the company I used before kind of messed up. So I had to restart the whole process again. That's why it took just a little bit over 4 years.
Damn.
And as you knew,
I
was like, well, okay.
Yep.
So that's that's almost 8 years.
Totally. And when did you officially get your green card?
July
of this year, of 2019, right?
Yeah.
Which is so crazy. And I know it because like obviously we keep in touch about this stuff, but like that's such a crazy story for people to hear about. Yeah. Like coming off of 422 episodes, being in a huge major movie that everyone knows, and you come here and you can't even work.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
People a lot of ask me like, hey, how are you? Like, what's it like for you, like working in Jam and you've done all this big stuff? I'm like, to me, it's I never felt like it was like a lower point. What's funny is because I'm a Christian, so when I first came over, I found a church, and they wanted me to be in the acting department. But there's this thing where I didn't want my ego to take over, be like, oh, I feel good. I want to present. I'm doing this for God. So, like, I don't want to, like, try and show, yeah, it's all about me.
Yeah.
And I heard a voice inside of me when every time I pray, say, clean the toilets. So I served cleaning the toilets instead. I said, I'm not going to put myself on stage in front of everyone. I'm going to be in the places where no one can see. And I loved doing that. I love cleaning the toilets. Like, it's people think, like, excuse me, but there's this honor that you have that, one, listening to the call inside of you is greater than anything.
Yeah.
And then just doing something where you realize other people do this and they're real.
100%.
Are you better than them just because you're on stage? No. If they clean stuff that you don't want to clean, that's a higher honor. And so because of that, that's where working for you was a great honor for me, because your dream, your baby, you know, with Aaron Tony as well, the other co-owners, it's holding respect, stewardship on someone else's property, someone else's thing. Then God can honor you with your own at a much higher rate. And so to me, when people ask me like, hey, how does it feel? I'm like, this is incredible. This is what I need. I need it for my soul. I need it for where I'm going. And it's keeping me alive.
Yes.
This time my green card's going through, I am feeding myself, which is good.
Yeah, which is crazy, man. And now that you have your green card officially, are you going to focus back on the acting again now that you have the ability to?
Yeah,
or has it been
so
long? Okay.
Yeah, so that's where Fair City went. We talks about, you know, going back, doing some cameos. So we're trying to, my agent's in talks with them so far. Right now, because of the stuff going on, there's a pause.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that I think just before Christmas, I was pinned for 3 shows, on avail for 3 shows, 3 major shows, 2 here, 1 in Germany.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
Yeah. So the one in Germany, they contacted me and said, we didn't actually call you in to say anything about, you know, booking the role because of stuff that's been going on. Everything in Germany is halting. So I was like, oh, okay. So that's still on the table. Not sure what's going to happen there. But there's a movie I lost because I look too young.
Okay.
They said you look close to the person who's going to be your daughter. And the other one said virtually, yes, look too young because the character's supposed to be older and have an affair with a teacher. And the actress who wanted me on the show, she's a producer on the show, said that I don't want you to come across like my tomboy. And so she sent her assistant to actually send me that message and said, this is why. Because on camera you read younger than we thought. So and I was like, gosh, maybe I'll grow a beard and stuff. It's not a case
it's not that. Yeah.
Just for the integrity of the story. Lost a commercial because of this shutdown.
Yep.
But the good thing about it is that a lot of major roles I've been pulled in for. So things are getting back in there. I'm really looking forward to really seeing how this takes off now.
Wow. And so do you have representation over here now that you have a green card and stuff like that?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
One of my original representations, just they always loved me and said, hey, we still want to work with you. When things pick up, we'll help you get a bigger agent for what you need. My manager actually is the wife of my agent. Okay. She's an incredible manager. And they're honestly like, we love you, but once we're able to like really pick you up, my manager is still going to be my manager, but she says, we're going to get you a much stronger agent because that's what you need. We just have to have something on the table that they can use to offer.
Totally.
So if I'm on something, then the agent who's bigger can say, oh, I have something to work with. We look, because some in APA, they were like, we love MCA, we love him, but he doesn't have anything that we could use right now to pitch.
Yeah, totally.
And so that's our game right now.
Okay. So in the meantime, you've been just doing short films and other projects like that and things like that just to continue the craft and stuff, keep it going.
Many people don't know, like the short films I did, one in Belfast and a few things here, all won awards.
Totally.
So many awards they won, and that's actually what helped me get the green card. Because my case wasn't as strong, as they made it harder. So when they saw, oh, he's won all these awards, like over 17 for, I think, three different things, I believe, they're like, yeah. I think one wasn't classified because I was only a fight coordinator on it, but the others I was performing in it. Yeah.
That's wild. And so now that you have this green card and stuff, what are the goals? Are the goals to become a full-time actor again, or is it just to do guest roles here and there? Like what's the end game now that you have the ability to actually apply for them, you know?
Interesting question. Before I get into that, just let people know, I just won another award for a show I actually did 3 months ago. So
which one is that?
It's called Cancelled.
Oh, okay.
And I was a fight coordinator on that.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's actually when I actually contacted you and said, hey, about rates.
Yeah.
It was that. We just won a few awards for that.
Yeah, I remember when we talked about that. That's crazy, man.
But my plan, I think, it's funny because I've never actually ever thought about lead roles, even though they've been offered. Just because how I train as an actor, I always go for the roles which people forget, or bring the darker side out of a character to find his light, or however we philosophize it. So I never really thought like, I want to go for this major role or this role. It usually comes to me and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll try for it.
Yeah.
Guest star roles I think are great. Co-star roles are great because it's quick work, you can explore, and there's no meaningless character. So if you can bring light to, it's always said that there's no small roles, there's only small actors. So if you think of a role as small, in that sense, you could be a small actor.
Totally.
Even if you're gifted and talented. But so if there's like guest star roles, co-star roles, I'm totally going up for those roles. If the leads come, I'm not going to say no. Like I didn't say no for Mamma Mia. But my goal, I want to fully get involved in that so that I can be like on your page. You know, we could really use things to like build up the gym as well.
Totally.
Because that's always been my life, performing and the gym.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you land some big roles, but hopefully we have enough heads up so we can hire someone else to take over and manage.
Fired again. Wait, but I'm a co-owner. Yeah. Fired.
You still have 10%, but you're fired from your job. That's funny, man. No, that's super cool, man. It's crazy. I you know, more than anything, like I just really wanted people to hear the side of your story because like you're such a fixture at Jam that I feel like, you know, people feel like they know you, but I don't think they know you. Yeah. You know, and it's something that like everyone's guilty of, you know, like it's just a lot of people in LA specifically so caught up in their own individual rat race and their own individual goals and stuff that they lose sight of the people around them and the resources that they have. And it's like, anytime I get an acting role, I call you right away. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, I have this big audition, dog. I need you to help like read with me. I need you to help me do this on tape. And I don't think a lot of people know that, but like you're the person that reads almost all of my tapes, you know?
And it's so funny. Like when you booked Stumptown, I was like, I just knew it, man. Like it was just incredible. The performance was perfect. I'm like, bro, dude, obviously.
I appreciate that, man. I remember us leaving that one and I was like, damn, that last one was good. Yeah. I like that last one. Usually I always leave like uncertain and I call you. I'm like, I'm trying to decide between
Send me an email of like, yo, choose between these ones. And then I'm like A and B, like, oh man, I thought C and A. And you're like, oh no, I have to look at it again.
but on Stumptown, I was like, nah, I like this one. Yeah. And what's so funny is like, dude, the role that Michael's talking about, he helped me put on tape. We did the audition at Jam in the dance room. Yeah. And literally I got a call like 2 days later from casting and they're like, this is like actually perfect. Yeah. You booked it. I'm like crazy. And then Costumes calls me and they're like, we saw your tape. Your look is perfect. Just wear exactly what you wore on your tape. I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. So like I literally like that made me feel really good about myself to be like, wow, we turned in a really solid tape because obviously I'm wearing the same clothes. I'm doing the same exact lines, and it was awesome. And man,
those roles are kind of sometimes the toughest to put on tape because everyone wants to do much more. If you say, let's say you have 2-3 lines, and they're like, oh, let's do more. I'm like, no, just do the job. Just say the line, be believable, have fun, and it's over.
Totally.
It. Yeah, it's like done. There we go.
Dude, you're right. Yeah. Some of those small roles even when I was on set that day, I was super overthinking it. Yeah. Even down to like, what side do I pull my valet ticket out of? Right side, left side? I'm like, that doesn't matter. Like, dude, why are you overthinking this crap? But it's just so funny, you know? It's like you said.
They're just... Maybe if I just don't...
It's because I only had like 2-3 lines. So it's like I focused on all this other stuff. Yeah. If I had like 25 pages of script, I'd be more concerned about the lines, you know? So yeah, it's really funny, man. But I appreciate all the help over the years. And also it's like, it's just another thing for people to just be aware of. Cause it's like, we should use each other's resources,
Yeah.
like when we can, because you never know in which way you can help someone or things like that. And I feel like a lot of people just view you as just being a part of Jam as like a fixture of helping them with their memberships and packages. But it's like you have so much more to offer for people that maybe now you're going to be screwed. Maybe you're going to get called all the time to do self-tapes and stuff. Right. So it's
great. I think, and thank you for this, because I think it's your JAMCast with James Young, which really stuck out for me, because, you know, knowing James being from the same like country as me, and, you know, he had the whole 10-year pause
where he couldn't work because of his citizenship.
And so like,
look at him now. Look at him now with Jinx, dog. Look at him now. Yeah.
And when you brought him on for the JAMCast, I'm like, finally people can get to know like that side of him, because people would just think of him in his successful point. Yeah. And you remember him from like Lotus days, bro. Just come in, does his Wing Chun a bit, tries a few tricks, get this awesome high B twist. And, and, you know, he does some videos and stuff, and suddenly, like, they don't know the grind he was doing. Yeah. You know, the nights where you feel like you just want to cry and stuff. But, like, that was me, and I'm like, well, I could do that, or I could just get a background and practice my self-tapes and practice this and think about creating my own, because I'm writing as well. And I've been offered, BBC want to see, like, a couple of my scripts. Kind of stuck in writing. I have this. I need some help in finishing it off. But those points where you just have to it's a desert right now. But what are you gonna do? Stay here or just keep walking? You're gonna walk through the desert either way. So you can stay here, walk. Yeah. You will get hungry. You will get thirsty, but keep walking, because you're getting closer towards that end. Totally. And that's what that grinds like. Looking at his JAMCast, I was like, finally, people get to hear that story.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's surreal to think about that. Like, it's something that we take for granted. Like, I'm born and raised here, not only in this country, but I'm born and raised in LA. Yeah. Like, White Lotus was 2 blocks from my parents' house. And it's like, I hear these stories about people like you that move over here, and I'm like, dude, I'm such a little biatch. Like, you know, I'm so lucky, dog, you know?
Bro, you were like 2 blocks away. I had to come from, because I had no car those days. So I came from like West Hollywood by bus, walking, and by train. And then there's times when I do the double shift, so you have the time in between. I can't go home. So I'm like, okay, go to LA Fitness, and it's so hot, like in Northridge. I'm like, oh my God, it's so hot. And then come back, and then closing, like the times when you close sometimes at midnight. Yep. And that time, like, you changed it to like, you made it later than earlier. And I was like, oh, my bus, I just missed my bus. So one time I had to run. I made myself run close to Hollywood. I stopped at like Ventura and Tahunga. I couldn't take it anymore. Totally. It was like 1 a.m., so I called a friend, and she was at the bar. She's like, hey, I just finished. I'll drop you off. No And I was like, oh, my gosh. And then Kofi said, hey, let me lend you my motorcycle, since you know how to ride a motorcycle. Totally. So that kind of helped me until I kind of got a car later. That's crazy. But you were like 2 blocks away, bro. Dude. And I was like, man.
So crazy. And I did that for my parents' sake, so that my mom and them could be like super close, you know what I'm saying? And then I eventually like, that was like right when I moved back from college. So I was at home for like 2 months, open Jam, and then White Lotus. As soon as I opened White Lotus, I moved out. Yeah. You know, just because like we were working such crazy hours, like you said, like we would close the gym at 11:30, but then sometimes I'd stay and train with the homies till like 1 a.m. Yeah. I didn't want to be going home and disturb my parents, so it's crazy to think about. Wow. And then one last question I have, and I feel like a lot of people are going to have. Why do you go by Michael? If your legal name is Philip Michael, right?
No, my legal name is Michael Phillip. My stage name is Philip Michael.
Okay.
Yeah. What people don't know actually my name, because I'm fine telling people. I was born in a Muslim family, so my name was actually Abu Bakr Sa'ad Muhammad. We became Christians, and then I changed when I was 13. Legally, I couldn't change my name, but my mom could for me, so I changed my first name to Michael, so it was Michael Muhammad.
Nice. That makes sense now.
When I was 15, because I grew up a lot in fear with, Nigeria, guns in your head, that stuff, I was traumatized a lot. And so I didn't want that anymore. So I changed my last name to Philip, because in the Bible it means warrior, strong as a horse, lover of horses. I loved horses, and I wanted to hear warrior every time someone says Philip. Wow. So I made it Michael Philip.
Michael Philip.
Then obviously that name was taken
on IMDb.
Yeah.
No way.
So
that's why
I had to switch it, and I was like, I'm very happy to be called Philip Michael, and now people can keep calling me Philip, and I'm hearing warrior all the time. So I actually prefer Philip.
Oh, really?
Because I love Michael, but I haven't got the experience of people always calling me Philip. So when people say Philip, it just reminds me of where I've come out of, like the old life I've come out of.
Crazy.
So Yeah, so if you call me Michael Philip Michael, like some people just do.
I know, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I feel like I had to clear that up for everybody, because
It's
I feel like people are mad confused out there.
A guy from an insurance company called me and did the same thing. I'm like, how did you? So I heard it from your voicemail. You did it as well. I'm like, oh yes, I did it too.
Yeah. That's so funny,
yeah.
man. Crazy, man. And so one of the things that I always ask people before we get out of here, and it's just to like put things in perspective. One of them is there any advice you would give to a kid that's same as you back in the UK right now, or let's say any country for that matter? Do you have any like life advice for them, or anything that you regret, or things that would have helped save you time along this journey? Or from the sounds of it, everything's kind of been a part of it.
Yeah, I think the most thing, like what I really pick out of it is to do with who you are as a person. You have to discover who you are. You have to, all this, whether you're coming through privilege or no privilege, that's going to be part of your journey. Whether you have faith or don't have faith, that's going to be part of your journey, because someone wants to tell that story. It could be you one day. And I would say, as you're going through life, if this is what the career you want to do, and get training.
Yes.
You know, get some good, solid training. If you can spend 3 years just to get grounded, to get some training, and please just do that. Don't just do like a few classes here and then not really know who you are. Like, find out who you are in drama school. Because when you get to castings as well, you'll be typecast. But it takes a strong actor to say, I'm not going to tell you that I'm this kind of person, because I've learned that I can play any role. You can look at me in one way, but I could be, you don't know who I really am.
Totally.
You don't. And so I don't even know who I really am. I'm still discovering. Everyone is still discovering. And that's the actor's journey. And it's up to you to be able to get good training so you can speak for yourself. If you have something to say, you can put it in your performance. Or if you're living with people who have something to say, you can speak for them. Speak for the other. You can't do that unless you get good training. Find out what's happening in life. Look what's happening now. People's acting careers are gone for the moment.
Yeah.
So the stuff you've been fighting for, is useless right now. But there's a story to be told. So when you're out of it, you can tell that story. So my advice, get good training, keep your integrity, and learn how to tell your story and the story of someone else.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
I think it's super good advice. And then one of the last things that we always ask everyone is just to put things in perspective in case we sit down and do this again. It's the famous question that some people have an answer to and some don't, which is where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? And then where do you see yourself in 10 years from now?
Wow. In 5 years, my hope is to really have my acting career like forward.
Okay.
And so that I'll have access to keep the relationships I have growing. Because to me, people are the most important. Mm. When I went back to London, I realized when all my friends were gone, the country didn't mean as much to me anymore. It's about the people there.
Yes.
About my mom, my sister, and close friends, and the friends who've moved away. So in 5 years, I want to have a close-knit relationship with the people I have now, and so I can have a voice in their life. In 10 years, I want to be fully established, that I don't want to have to think about pursuing acting. I want it to just be like I wake up and then it's opportunities already there, so I can focus on my family. So I'm looking forward to having a family. And again, maintaining the relationships, because I don't know what this earth is going to be like and what's going to happen in 10 years. What I do know is I want to be able to supply needs for people. So in 10 years, to not be like, gimme, I need a job, I need this. I want to be like, no, I want to supply.
Yes.
Freely. I don't want you to, if you want to work, come and work. But I want to be able to supply and empower you to grow and create your own fortress.
Totally. Yeah. That's crazy. No, I mean, it all makes sense, man. Yeah. And from the sounds of it, like your journey has all kind of had relevant parts that have all fallen into place. And so who knows? Who knows what'll happen, especially with the current situation that we're dealing with this time. But hope for all of our sakes that we're able to pull out of this and get back to a little bit of normalcy, for lack of a better term. So hell yeah, man. Wish you continued success along the journey. And hopefully we'll be there along the way, obviously. So you're kind of bound to us by that, being a part of Jam at this point. So I'm sure we'll hear all about it, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. And so before we get out of here, just real quick, if you can, just look into that camera and let people know where they can follow you and stay up to date with the rest of your journey.
So the best way to follow me is on Instagram, Philip Michael Angel. Philip has one L.
And we'll put it on the screen. Hell yeah. And as always, guys, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Michael Phillip himself. So as always, guys, I got to give a very special shout out to Mr. Connor Simon for running the cameras in the Switcher app. I got to give a very special thank you to our sponsor, Inner West Hemp. Please be sure to visit them online and use the code JAM for 15% off all your CBD needs. It's the same company that I use, and you're going to be seeing me post tons of it in the near future. And as always, got to give a very special shout out to our guest this week, Mr. Michael Phillip.
Thank you very much.
And as always, guys, coming at you, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong, sending sincere best wishes for everyone to stay healthy during these times. Until next time, see you all soon. Peace.